Welcome into the fifth episode of All About the Astros, as this week's episode is a game recap of our season finale versus Rank Up Athletics, as this week Rank Up went down. Now it's time for the game summary. Moxie Media Productions actually had another event scheduled last Saturday for the season finale, so they were not able to stream the game live, but the full game is on Huntsville Astros head coach Shane Anderson's YouTube channel. If you guys want to watch it, I like it because it edits out all of the time stoppage, all the timeouts. So it's literally just 50 minutes of the game. But because I don't know whenever the plays exactly happen in the game, I will have a clip of whenever it happened in his video of the full game. So now let's get into it. In quarter number one, on the Astros' first drive with 9 minutes left in the stream, kicker Nicholas Pope passed the tight end Jalen Slider for a 13-yard fake field goal touchdown. Yes, you heard that right. Kickers can throw, and then of course our tight end can catch. Nick Pope, shout out to you, and actually Clark Riddell, shout out for the little pass behind his back. Nick Pope, nice recovery and nice pass as the Astros were up 7-0 after that, and then on the next drive, a rank up second drive in the game with 11 minutes and 13 seconds left in the stream. Astros defensive back Dejon Warren, yes, you heard that right, had his first pro interception and his first interception on the Astros. But then, sadly, on the Astros' second drive, just a couple plays later, rank up actually picked the ball off at around the 2 to 3 yard line, and it was kind of like an air punt, but they got the ball back. But it didn't matter because on Rank Up's third drive, Astros defensive lineman Emmett Gooden and basically that whole entire defensive line sacked Rank Up's quarterback for a safety. So guess what? We have 2 points on the board to make that score 9-0 Astros. So it don't matter. We might throw a pick, but our defense comes in clutch and gets us some points. And then that was the last scoring and big plays of the first quarter. At the end of the first quarter, the score was 9-0 Astros, and now we get to the big time second quarter as on the Astros' third drive with 15 minutes and 21 seconds, one of the first plays of the second quarter. Astros quarterback Ivory Durham passed to wide receiver Kendall Williams. Yes, we know that connection really well for a 40-yard touchdown to start out this second quarter to make the score 16-0 Astros. And then on the Astros next drive, on the Astros fourth drive with 18 minutes 57 seconds left in the stream, Astros running back DJ Law, he says, you know what, everybody, the new law at Milton Frank Stadium is I get to jump in for a 2-yard rushing touchdown. Sadly, Nick Pope missed the extra point, but the Astros were still up 22-0. And then on Rank Up's fifth drive, they had this massive completion for about 60 yards, but Astros defensive back Robert Rem had an interception in their end zone and ran it back around 40 yards. That play happened with 22 minutes and 42 seconds left in the stream, but it was not over for scoring for our Huntsville Astros as on the Astros' fifth drive with 24 minutes and 57 seconds left. Astros quarterback Ivory Durham passed to wide receiver Jaden Rembert for a 7-yard touchdown to make the Astros up 29-0. And then on the Astros' very next drive with 28 minutes and 35 seconds left, Astros quarterback Ivory Durham passed yet another touchdown to another guy, Kendall Williams. We know that man, his dance moves in the end zone. He does almost everything for our Astros for a 38-yard touchdown to make the score 36-0 Astros. And you thought that, because it was getting close to halftime at that time, that the Astros were not going to score another touchdown, but no, you were wrong, because on Rank Up's seventh drive in this game, with 30 minutes and 30 seconds left, Astros defensive back Trevonte Gilmore had a 50-yard pick six. Yes, that is number 2 on the year. Last year, he returned that 98-yarder back. This week, he has a 50, and I will give you a little hint for later in this game. he was not done with scoring. And then that made the Astros up 43-0 at halftime. That was the final score of the half. But then in quarter number 3, the Astros started moving and scoring some points again uh, as on the first drive uh, of the second half on the Astros' seventh drive total in this game with 32 minutes and 11 seconds left. Astros quarterback Ivory Durham had a 76-yard rushing touchdown. Sadly, it was another missed extra point, but a long rushing touchdown for the second straight week for quarterback Ivory Durham. Uh, that score would have been 49-0 Astros, and then on rank ups. Ninth drive of the game with 33 minutes and 49 seconds left. Astros defensive back Trevante Gilmore, we heard him a couple minutes ago. Well, now he's back with a 36-yard pick six again for his third pick six of the year. He has more touchdowns than some of the players on offense. Trevante Gilmore, shout out to you, buddy. You earned the UFL Isaac respect button. And then, uh, uh, and then that score would be 56. Of course, Nick Pope, he made the extra point on that to make the score 56-0. But then on the Astros' eighth drive of the game, with 38 minutes and 40 seconds left, Astros quarterback Ivory Durham passed to tight end Demetrios Tesmerits for a 4-yard touchdown to make the score 63-0, and then that was the last scoring or big plays in the third quarter. So at the end of the third quarter, it was 63-0 Astros. But then in the fourth quarter, Rank Up kept the ball for a long time. But on Rank Up's 11th drive of the game with 40 minutes and 28 seconds left, Astros defensive lineman Jemerick Jordan forced a fumble, and then the fumble was recovered by defensive lineman Denaz Ross for a 25-yard fumble return touchdown. That was the last scoring in the game. The final score was 70-0 Astros as we dominate for our third shutout of the year and our fourth win to finish this year. Hunt defeated. Yes, not undefeated, but Hunt defeated for the Huntsville Astros. And that is your game summary. Now it's time for my key takeaways and our players of the game. Now it's time for the Astros key takeaways from the game versus Rank Up Athletics. We have 6 key takeaways this week, with the first one being the season finale was dominant. Of course, the Astros won 70-0 against a really tough team. The Astros scored their most points this year, 70. But I mean that Rank Up team. I mean they have some really good athletes on that team. They had a lot of players show up for the game. A lot of River Gators guys. Of course, I love my Tri-City River Gators. A lot of them showed up. Enrique Crumbs, Christian Rouser, Trey Dixon, Jason Hall, just to name a few of those guys on that other team. And then also my second takeaway from this past week's game is Trevante Gilmore has more touchdowns than most of the offensive players. Yes, Trevante Gilmore these last 2 weeks has been on a just run of a lifetime. As he had 3 pick sixes. The past 2 weeks, the one was against the Dallas Prime, and then 2 this past week versus Rank Up Athletics. Number 3 is Kendall Williams continues his touchdown streak. I'm almost certain that he's the only one to catch a touchdown every single week this year for the Huntsville Astros and to score besides like a quarterback. So shout out to Kendall Williams. He has been really just the best wide receiver I think we can confidently say, and has been probably potentially an MVP candidate. As in a couple weeks I will do my Astros, my first ever Astros awards. My fourth key takeaway from this past week is don't mess with this defensive line. This whole entire year, they have just ate up on these offensive line and has been tackling these quarterbacks, tackling these running backs every single game. Don't mess with them. Of course, they had the safety this week. They had the fumble return touchdown. They've been doing everything all year long. Jemerick Jordan, Kip Patton, Tank Nichols, Taj Alston against up one, especially it was Taj Alston's big game, and just Emmett Good and just all those boys up front have just been saying that it's Thanksgiving this week. Thanksgiving this season. So we are just going to eat up on these offensive linemen. And now my fifth takeaway is first in the last game. Cornerback Dejon Warren had his first pro interception. Trevante Gilmore had his first double pick six game of his career. And then tight end Demetrios Tesmeritz scored his first Astros touchdown, and many more. It was a lot of people's first in the Astros last game. And then my final takeaway is Ivory Durham is the man. Ever since he got signed with this team, Daniel Sims had been amazing, but now Daniel Sims is more of like our athlete guy and has been an incredible wide receiver with that. But Ivory Durham to me has just been on the rush in the past. He has just been Mr. Magical back there in the backfield every single game since he got signed, the last three games. And so those are my key takeaways. Now it's time for our players of the game. So drum roll, please. Our offensive player of the game is quarterback Ivory Durham. Of course, he sealed the win on that on that very long rushing touchdown. That was the last score, I'm pretty sure, on offense for the Huntsville Astros, as they barely had it in the second half. And then he's been the man all year. He is now, I'm pretty sure he's back-to-back players of the games for our Huntsville Astros. And now the defensive player of the game, I got defensive back Trevante Gilmore. Two pick sixes. To me, that's all you have to say. But he has just been really good. He should have had that pick at the end of the game, but they called it a penalty, so it didn't count. But Trevante Gilmore, two pick sixes. This guy knows how to read the quarterback, because most of the time he just jumps in front of the wide receiver. He's just quick. And Trevante Gilmore is a potentially guy, potentially wink, wink, moving up to the UFL potentially next year. And now my special teams player of the game, I have it split. I have it kicker Nick Pope, and then also tight end Jalen Slider. Nick Pope, he kicked the extra points and all that, and then he's the one that passed it. But I feel like we need to give credit to the guy that caught the touchdown too. So congrats to quarterback Ivory Durham, defensive back Trevante Gilmore, kicker Nick Pope, and tight end Jalen Slider for all being players of the games in our season finale versus Rank Up Athletics. Thanks for watching this week's episode of All About the Astros, episode number 5. As this week Rank Up went down in our season finale, and don't worry, everybody. Next week we will have our interview with head coach Shane Anderson, and also I have a couple of videos for the next couple weeks for All About the Astros. So make sure you guys watch out. The season might be over, but the content for the Astros is not. So make sure next Thursday will be next week will be the interview with Shane Anderson. After that will be kind of like a season recap, and then after that will be my first ever Astros Awards. I'm calling it the first ever Huntsville Astros Awards, where we're going to be doing my MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, all of those different types of awards. And then another video coming later in a couple weeks will be my guys who I could see move up to the UFL or to the CFL. All About the Astros out, UFL Isaac out. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Thank you very much.